Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're jumping into a really powerful concept from Josh Kaufman's best-selling book, The Personal MBA. And the big idea is this: you can absolutely master the art of business without ever setting foot inside a business school.
So, to really get what Kaufman is arguing, we've got to start with a very expensive question about what a traditional business degree is actually worth. It's a question millions of people ask themselves every single year.
So here it is. Is a Master of Business Administration degree really worth 2 years of your life and a cool $200,000? I mean, that's enough to buy a house in a lot of places. But here's the kicker. According to the book, even that number doesn't even come close to the real cost.
Yeah, that's right. Because the real cost isn't just about tuition. No. You have to factor in the interest on those loans, your living expenses, and maybe the biggest hit of all, 2 entire years of lost salary. When you add all that up at a top school, you're easily looking at over $400,000. That is a mountain of debt to start with. So for that staggering price, what are you actually getting? Well, Kaufman argues that the reality of business school is, let's just say, a little different from what you see in those glossy brochures. Let's break down what he sees as the core problems.
The book really drills down on 3 major issues. First, there's that crippling cost we just talked about, which can literally trap you in a job you don't even like just to pay off the debt. Second, a lot of the curriculum is full of outdated theories, stuff designed for a totally different economy. And finally, and this is a big one, there was absolutely no guarantee that it will actually lead to the success you're paying for.
And wow, this slide really hammers that third point home. The book cites a study by Jeffrey Pfeffer and Christina Fong that dug through 40 years of data. And what did they find? They found that having an MBA, or even getting great grades in an MBA program, has literally zero correlation with long-term career success, a higher salary, or getting those top executive jobs. Zero. Zilch. Nothing.
Kaufman even throws in this classic line from Good Will Hunting, and it just hits perfectly, right? The message is so clear. The knowledge you need is out there, and it doesn't have to come with a 6-figure price tag. So if business school is the problem, what's the solution? This is where Kaufman proposes a totally different path, one that's way more direct and, honestly, way more powerful. It's not about memorizing a bunch of specific methods for specific situations. It's about really, truly understanding the fundamental principles that make all businesses tick.
So the book's central message is this incredibly empowering call to action. Just skip the traditional route. Take your business education into your own hands, especially now when all the resources you could ever need are right at your fingertips.
The key to this is all about fixing our mental models, those beliefs we have in our heads about how business works. So, for instance, a lot of us have this inaccurate model that says starting a business is super risky. But a more accurate, more useful model is risks can be identified, they can be minimized, and they can be managed. That one little shift in how you think, it changes everything.
Okay, so what are these fundamental principles he's talking about? This is where it gets really good. Kaufman boils down the entire concept of business into one simple universal framework. He calls it the 5 parts of every business. Think of it as opening up the hood on the engine of commerce.
But first, let's get a really clear definition. A business isn't some big, scary, mystical thing. At its very core, it's just a process you can repeat. You create something valuable that people actually want, you sell it at a price they're willing to pay, and you do it in a way that makes them happy, all while bringing in enough money to keep the lights on and make it worth your while. Pretty simple, right?
And here they are, the 5 core parts. Every single business that has ever existed, I don't care if it's a kid's lemonade stand or a giant like Apple, it runs on these 5 things. You've got value creation, that's making something people want. Marketing, getting their attention. Sales, actually making the transaction. Value delivery, keeping your promises. And finance, making sure the money makes sense. Pull any one of these out and the whole thing just falls apart.
So, what's the big takeaway from all this? The message is just one of total empowerment. Mastering the things that really matter in business isn't some exclusive prize reserved for a select few. It is absolutely 100% within your reach. And of course, this is the book we've been walking through today. It's basically a complete roadmap. It filters out all the noise and gives you the essential knowledge you need, but without all the debt and the academic fluff of a formal program. This quote, which is featured in the book, just perfectly sums up the entire philosophy.
Don't waste your time chasing after the latest tactics and buzzwords. If you understand the core principles, like those 5 parts of business, you can adapt to any situation. You can even invent your own methods for success.
And that brings us to the end. So the real question isn't about whether you should get an MBA or not. The real question is for you, right now, armed with this way of thinking, what value are you going to create? What problem are you going to solve first? Thanks for tuning in.